just now getting some decent speed. There's still a few things we've got to figure out with this 4500. I'll talk about those as we go along. But I mean, there's a lot of things that I really like on this thing. One of them being the HMI. Like right now, I've just got my foot on the pedal, and you know, it'll automatically saw every time you flip it. You just set it to what you want, and I really like being able to move my log to get it on my runners and stuff. That is so handy, not having to wait on them or to make them have to go up there and get it. Those teeth on that head, some of them are a little bit bent. I've got some new ones ordered, but they work really well until they bounce. And the thing about the 4500 is if you're going back fast and those teeth bounce, then it will tell you that you've got, you know, sometimes get the exact message. I haven't seen it enough, but it'll say something about the motor, and then the head don't want to move, so you got to shut the key off, raise the head manually, and get the blade to where it's not touching anything, because it's really sensitive to how much horsepower is going through that blade, which is nice for like this HMI stuff, because right now, you know, I don't have to do anything. I can just move the blade guide in and out and keep my foot on this pedal, and it will, you know, solve for me. So it's an interesting deal. But then like right here on my Silver 70, I would have drugged those back with the teeth, and I can't get the teeth to grab that because the they won't grab unless you got a bunch of them on there. And then sometimes they still don't grab. But like right here, this one's too far this way, so I can push it all the way over, grab it with my runners, and run it right where I need it. Super handy. All my hydraulics are a lot stronger too, now that I've got that bigger motor on there running all the hydraulics. It's super slick. You can individually adjust where each one of them's at as far as how much power they give. Like for instance on the conveyor, you can put it at anywhere from 1 to 100% power from your hydraulics, which is really, really handy. I just got to shave this little come over and get my blade guide. Just gives you a lot more options to work with. See, you can see I'm not hitting anything, it's just driving for me. And it'll do that as long as you hold that pedal. The 4500 is really meant for big logs, and these little ones, like I said, they're a lot more tedious on this 4500 than it is on a Super 70. I much prefer the last couple of cuts for the Super 70, just how you can manipulate the head and everything. This one, like I said, is all computerized, so it wants to do it for you. And like I said, I just haven't got used to everything on here, but I absolutely love, I tell you what, this thing produces just phenomenal lumber. Like, there's no waves, no dips, none of that stuff, because that blade keeps that lubricant on it, and it just is like running diesel fuel, but it just misses it on the blade, and the blades just, I mean, they just cut flawlessly. We've been running our blades for 2 hours. See, there's not enough weight for that to push that front spring-loaded runner down. So he's got to move it over on the conveyor. I'm probably going to put some lighter weight springs in that front. It took me a minute to get used to the auto bump up, auto bump down. I kept wanting to hit the button and then it would bump up twice or bump down once, because it does it all for you. You know, like Super 70, when you come through the log, you have to bump it up or bump it down. Like, I'm not hitting none of that. It's all in the head unit. So as soon as it, you know, gets start log, end log, it just pretty much does it all. I really like the dual log turners. Still got to tighten one of the chains up, tighten one up, not the other one. Another thing, if you're coming from a Super 70 and you're looking at one of these, your loading arms no longer like your, so on a Super 70, when you raise the rear arms to catch the log, it'll bring up your log turners. Well, it doesn't do that on a 4500. So you've got to move it two different ways, and that took a minute to get used to. Still not 100% used to it. But this thing cuts hickory like poplar. I mean, it's just so smooth. It really cuts anything. I mean, we've thrown some big logs at it already, and it just eats them. It also gives you a lot better deal, like when you're pushing stuff off, that conveyor catches all the stuff and brings it back. So like on a Super 70, if you had a narrow piece in the middle and you had two big humps, the big hump would fold over on the Super 70, and a lot of times you have to watch because it would fold up and hit your radiator or anything, and you had to really watch. Well, this one just keeps pulling the end, so you don't have to worry about that, which is great because, man, that thing, I don't know how many times that thing almost hit my radiator on my Super 70 from pushing a big long, like if you was on 8 foot and you had the end of it and that big old knot folded down, it would fold up in the middle and make it point right at your radiator. That belt on here just pulls it back. See, like even them little pieces. I absolutely love not dealing with water and diesel. That's been a huge improvement. And also you run these blades for 2 hours or 2.5, so you're not shutting down for that near as much as you was with the Super 70. turner too, or log clamp. Having that dual post on there instead of the single post, man, that thing just grabs so much harder and better. Pointing my laser out there, telling him to get that piece out from the blade guide. Also, the arms are closer on this, so you can grab littler logs without having to bring up those two side supports, because you got 3 arms on here now.